Hey everybody, welcome to the Jim Masters Show. Our next guests are part of the Little House on the Prairie family. They played Carrie Ingalls' sisters, Rachel and Sidney Greenbush, here on the show. We're so excited as we've been celebrating all of the iconic people and who have been a part of the Little House on the Prairie scenario. I mean, it's been really amazing celebrating this iconic series with so many fantastic people. Rachel Lindsay is here and Sidney Robyn is here. We're so excited. You may remember them from back then. There's so many great stories to tell. They were both Carrie Ingalls on the series, and it was really something very, very special for them. They were young, they were fun. Everybody fell in love with them on the series, and they got an opportunity to work with all of the other iconic figures, cast members in Little House on the Prairie, and have so many stories that they have been sharing. And you may remember just recently, the other night, we had the son and daughter of Victor French, who was an iconic figure and a blessed figure on Little House on the Prairie. And then, of course, moving on with Michael Landon to Highway to Heaven and so much more. And really special memories with Victor and Tracy French were with us. If you didn't see that episode, you can check it out. But look at all these cool photos we have here. And we've got some wonderful stories that we're going to be sharing of the two sisters and iconic stars of the series. This is a wonderful shot. Rachel and Allison Orngrim. Allison was with us recently here on the show as well. There's another fantastic shot. They are really terrific people, and we're so excited to have them here. They've had opportunities to attend the events that Little House on the Prairie has been doing to celebrate the iconic series in the way that they have, which has been really tremendous. And you had an opportunity maybe to meet them in person. If that's the case, I'm sure you've got your photos, you've got your memories. Well, there's going to be another event that's coming up celebrating the iconic series, Little House on the Prairie. And that's going to be coming up in December. We're going to tell you about that. It's the cast reunion in Simi Valley, California. And they are going to be there and say hi and take photos. And we'll tell you all about the event. It's something very special. The tickets are really limited. But again, you have the opportunity to chat with both sisters who had the opportunity to play Carrie Ingalls on that iconic series is something quite special. So let me tell you just a little about their background too. They come from an incredible background. You know, for nearly a decade, identical twins, Rachel Lindsay and Sidney Robyn Greenbush, well, they brought the character of Carrie Ingalls to life on Little House on the Prairie, captivating audiences with their alternating performances. Both Rachel and Sidney have continued to champion the series, making stops at cast reunion events to engage with fans and honor the 50-plus year legacy of the series. Rachel Lindsay and Sidney Robyn were born in 1970 in Hollywood, California, to successful model Carol K. Campbell and actor Billy Greenbush. And Rachel was born first. Sidney came as a surprise, and their parents hadn't known they're having twins before the delivery. I was so happy they did. And Rachel and Sidney's family's life introduced them to the entertainment industry early, with the twins beginning their acting careers at age 3, and they landed their first role after their father's friend, Milt Cogan, happened to be in his agent's office when a call came, and they were searching for a 2.5-year-old twin girls. And it was Milt who jumped in and said, Billy Greenbush has twin girls around that age. And he's in the casting office. You should give him a call to see if he's interested. And Rachel and Sidney then met with director Joseph Sargent and got the role of Jill Hayden in Sunshine. And when Michael Landon was casting the series regulars for Little House on the Prairie, he also wanted twins for some of the roles. And that's where Sargent recommended Rachel and Sidney. And Landon set a time to get together and have that audition. And the twins arrived with their mother, Carol, and they were greeted by Landon, the show creator and executive producer, Ed Friendly. And the twins met in an office with Michael Landon and Ed Friendly while their mother sat in the waiting room. This was done to demonstrate that even as toddlers, they could follow directions, repeat phrases, and maintain a sense of calm while apart from their mother. The meeting went quite well. I'll leave it there. I can let them tell the rest of the story as we look at these wonderful photos again of these iconic figures in American television. And I am so excited to have them here. I know you are too. Let's welcome Rachel and Sidney to the Jim Masters Show. Ladies, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hello.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Pleasure is all mine. And what a background you guys have, growing up in Hollywood and having a wonderful mom and a wonderful dad in the industry who sort of inspired you and were so supportive along the way, right?
Yeah. And, it's funny because when you talk about sunshine, they actually bribed us to do things with Band-Aids.
Did they really? How'd they do that?
They told us they'd give us a Band-Aid if we did picked up the flower or the pebble or whatever it was. And so we would go do it. And then at the end of the day, we'd have Band-Aids all down our legs.
So you actually wanted them because it's kind of a cool thing. When you're a kid, you're fascinated by it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Do you remember at all the meeting with Michael Landon and Ed Friendly at all?
I don't, but my mom always told me that. I walked up to him and I said, "I've seen you on TV." And it wasn't, we always wondered how I knew that. And so it wasn't until years and years later, my father told me, he goes, "Well, that's because I took you and I showed you the TV and I told you who he was so that when you met him, you would know who he was." And I was like, why did you wait 40 years to tell me that, Dad? I've always wondered how I would even know.
Yeah,
We lived way out of the range, but we didn't really watch TV.
Yeah, where we lived on kind of a ranch. And so there wasn't a normal cable line to the house. It was an antenna. And so you literally had to set the TV antenna to get reception. And it was a really big thing in our house when you got a motor that would turn the antenna and you didn't have to go outside and turn it.
My aunt and uncle had that too. And they had a box on top of the TV with a little dial. And when you turn the dial, the antenna on the roof would point, in whatever direction you want, right, based on wherever the TV stations were. And you'd hear the thing turning.
Right.
That was cool, huh?
Yeah, you had to dial it in.
I almost missed that. A lot cheaper than the cable bill we get every month.
Right.
There was no cost for that. They just had to make sure the antenna was hooked up. Wow, that's amazing. So it started early for you guys. And what do you think it is about this series, Little House on the Prairie, that just continues to, find its way into the hearts and minds and souls of everybody? Why so many people still love the characters. They love all of you. They can recite the dialogue. They remember the costumes, the sets. They hum the theme song to Little House on the Prairie. What do you think it is?
Well, I think it all starts with the books and the legacy that Laura actually wrote. And people have easy time identifying with that because it is a true story, and she didn't try and sugarcoat it. She really kind of talked about true events and struggles and stuff that they had, and so there's a realism to it. And then Michael was very good on bringing that across to the screen, and he brought a lot of people with him from Bonanza, you talked about the intro music, the composer David Rose, who worked on Bonanza, but actually won several awards for his music and was briefly married to Judy Garland.
I think that's part. I think the historical part of it is because it gives you into a look back into the past of what was important to people at that time, which is very different from what's important to this generation now, who, before, Laura in the books is so excited when she finally gets a doll. She has the Cornhouse doll, but when she finally gets a real doll, it's a big deal. Today people like video games, but community and family and looking out for each other, they were so important back then. we're think of ourselves more as individuals today. So I think that's part of it. But Michael also had a vision of connecting people, of bringing people together, of touching people's hearts. And I think he accomplished all that. And I think it continues to touch people.
It really does. And are you surprised by that? Is it, some of the other guests that have from Little House on the Prairie, they're like, like Dean Butler said, it just had all the right elements where it was warm and it wasn't anything that was like in your face. It was just people really related to it. It was heartwarming and it was family and love and getting through things together. And all of those things are some of the most important things in life, right?
Yeah.
I don't think any of us envisioned that we would be here 50 years later, still celebrating it with a popularity that is larger than it was when it originally aired. And now grandparents who watched it originally when it aired are watching it with their grandchildren, and it's still bringing families together and creating family time. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. And I had a friend that was, she was like a military brat. Her father was in the military. They moved around a lot. She was always the new kid on the block, which was very hard for her. But the one constant that she always had was that her and her grandma would sit down and watch Little House on the Prairie. And to her, that was so meaningful because no matter what country she was in, she had that one thing that was just a constant. And when we go to the reunions and stuff like that, we like to hear the stories from the fans. And some of them are so amazing because they'll go through like these trials in their life and they'll be like, the show helped me get through this period in my life. And it's just, it to have that much impact on somebody or like a fan base, it's really kind of overwhelming for you because you're doing your job, but you have no idea how it's going to ripple out and affect people so largely, and it's really amazing.
There's
Jennifer
definitely
Donati said the same thing. She said a lot of people have contacted at these events and said, Little House on the Prairie has gotten me through some of the most difficult, dark times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
She was saying that, which is right in line with what you just said, Sidney. It's amazing, Rachel and Sidney, how the show, it wasn't just entertainment for some people, that it really was a lifeline of balance and security and serenity, right?
Right. I mean, it has a very human quality to it because, Paul wasn't perfect. Laura wasn't perfect. They had their own struggles, but they would pull together and get through the struggles. And I think people find inspiration in that because they see them getting through it. They're not perfect, but they try hard and they overcome. And so I think that it does have a tendency to inspire people that are going through stuff.
Which is exactly, I'm sure, part of what the hope was that Michael Landon and company were looking for to accomplish in the way that they did. You guys shared the role of Carrie Ingalls for 8 seasons from the series premiere in September 1974 through 1982. And initially, you guys were credited together as Lindsay Sidney Greenbush in the show's opening sequence, right?
Right.
Correct.
And that was, people at first thought it was one child that was playing all of it, right?
They still do sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. Wait, there's two? Yeah, it's amazing, right? Exactly. That's how terrific you guys were on the series and, how convincing that you were.
Interchangeable.
When we're really young, it's sometimes like in Ma's Holiday and stuff like that, the very early episodes, it's really hard for me to tell the difference. And sometimes I have to run it back and look at it again. And it looks so much alike when we're younger. And when we get a little bit older, there's little tells. Like I lost both my front teeth at the same time when Rachel lost one, right? So you can tell if both front teeth are missing, it's me. But when we're really little, it's really hard to tell the difference.
Right, exactly right. You know, it's cool too. I think, Rachel, you had said something to the effect of when you started doing Little House on the Prairie, the two names got smushed together.
They did. So if you watch the pilot, even our last name too, if you watch the pilot, it's Lindsay Sidney Green, because my dad's middle name was Green as an actor, and then Bush, and Bush was separate. And I don't know if they ran out of characters or what happened, but they made it one name, and it's been like that
Greenbush.
ever since. Yeah.
Because birth-wise, it's Bush, right?
Right. Correct.
And then they created Greenbush.
My
Right.
father did. My father
Yeah.
did it as a tribute to his great grandfather, because Green was a
Yeah.
name that was passed down in his side of the family. So Green William, but my grandmother named him William Warren, and he didn't like the middle name Warren. So when he became an actor, he put the Green back to William as Billy Greenbush to tribute to his grandfather.
Yeah.
And it kind of fits the whole Little House on the Prairie feeling, Greenbush, because there were green bushes all around you on set.
That and my dad's from Alabama, so you know everybody in Alabama has to have two names, so they would always call him Billy Green. It kind of fit his Southern personality.
Yeah.
We did a little digging and we found this very cool photo. Maybe you can tell us what we're seeing here.
Oh my God, that's a Christmas card.
It's fantastic. What do we have here?
That's my brother and Rachel and I. And when we were first doing the series, every year my mom would take a photo with her little Instagram camera, and she would take it to the local photo shop and have our Christmas cards done. So one time when we were on the set, I don't know, what month it was, maybe like November or something.
Yeah.
But we were obviously, filming a Christmas show or like a winter show. And so my mom told us at lunchtime to get up in the wagon so she could take pictures. And so that's one of the pictures. And she used them for the Christmas cards that year.
And that's your brother Clay, who also became an actor?
Right. Yeah. And he used to be on the set with us and be an extra. And like in the For the Love of Johnny Johnson, he's the one that makes the face to them. He like makes that ugly, terrible face. And then there's another one where, he's in a few shots, and I'll never forgive Mom for making me dance with him, but
that's Robyn. Robyn was on the end of that picture. I was in the middle. If anybody's wondering who's who,
if they're trying to figure out who is who and all.
Yeah.
It's just a great shot, and it looks so vintage.
Yeah, well, that's because it was like, do you remember the little Kodak Instamat cameras? They were just little hand reel
little things, and they had a cube that went on top, and you only got like 4 shots, and then the cube burned out. You had to put another cube on, 4, and then
Well, I want to say that that picture is like 50 years old, so it is vintage.
But it just has the coloration. It's really terrific. It's like perfect.
And when Mom would print them, she would print them with a matte finish, right? So that's why it makes it look old too, because it's not a glossy finish.
We have a photo that's been passed down to me, like great grandfather, because we're all James, and it's on tin. It's before they even really did paper.
Right.
Things would be pressed on tin. And I have that, and wow, that's like amazing to see that,
Right.
Just the way they did it back then, really incredible. Do you recall like the moments of, what it was like on set and working with everybody and the atmosphere? And were you all excited and giddy to be playing, or was it very serious and you had to get those lines and do those facial expressions and all? What was the feeling like on set? I heard it was like a family.
Well, I mean, we grew up with everyone. So we started so young that we didn't realize that everybody didn't do this. So, you can see when Michael's holding us or we're next to Melissa, they're playing with us as a way of getting us to interact in the scene. And then as we got older, that responsibility kind of became ours to incorporate ourselves in the scene. But everybody always was very kind and helpful. And I don't remember feeling a lot of pressure, but that might have been because we grew up with these people. So we didn't think of them as like television celebrities. We thought of them as like, an uncle or an aunt that you see all the time.
But there was a time to work and there was a time to play, and Michael expected you to be prepared, be ready to be in front of the camera by 8 if that's your call time, to have your costume on, your hair done, whatever you needed to do to be camera ready on time and know your lines. But he would joke around with us. So like sometimes when we'd be shooting dinner scenes after he got the print that he wanted, he wouldn't necessarily say cut, although he knew he had it, but he'd start flicking peas and stuff at us from off camera across the table. Or, we would go catch frogs and he would, hide them somewhere to jump out at people. And he was a big practical joker. So he was always joking around with us kids and making us laugh. So there was a time to work and there was a time to play, but he made it a fun set.
Which is fantastic, that's really great to hear. And that's what I've been hearing from everybody that we've been chatting with. Victor French, we had his fantastic kids on just the other night, Victor and Tracy. And of course, they missed their father dearly and had some wonderful stories to share about his life. Do you recall Victor and what it was like being around that incredible curmudgeonly character, that lovable man?
He was so kind, and he used to play with us kids when we weren't filming. And one of our favorite games was he'd be sitting in his chair and we would make a line in front of him. And the trick was to get to the front of the line and you couldn't laugh, and he would make faces at you and say things. And you would inevitably, the longer that you played, you would just step forward to the front and start laughing and have to go to the back again.
We love this shot with him.
Oh yeah.
Tracy was funny. She says that's her baby picture with her father. That's what she was saying last night. She's like, what?
I always thought that was a funny episode because there's so many orangutans on the prairie.
Right? Yeah.
We know Victor as, the fun-loving Mr. Edwards, and it wasn't until I got older that I started looking more at Victor's biography. And Victor and Michael actually met on the set of Bonanza. And Victor was pegged in Hollywood as always playing a villain. And it got so bad that when he would go to like the market and stuff like that, the women like at the cashier's register would like step back and people would like give him a wide berth. And it really started to affect him. And so on one of the episodes of Bonanza, Michael picked him to break out of that character and actually do something more lighthearted, which Victor loved. And then when Michael was picking out a character, an actor for Mr. Edwards, he immediately thought of Victor French. And Victor French was so thankful for that because it changed how people treated him in public. And that's something that we don't often think about as actors or artists, that, sometimes society has trouble disconnecting from what we portray on the screen to what we are in real life. But there are a few interviews where Victor talks about how mentally it affected him, people thinking that he was really this villain. And when they'd see him in public, they would think that he was going to rob them and stuff like that.
Right. And he was anything but that, right? He was very warm and loving. And now the opening sequence where, of course, you have like that beautiful like David Rose, and David Rose is a brilliant arranger and conductor, and a lot of music that he's responsible for, who is responsible for that fabulous theme. The opening sequence, people always remember, you know, the music and of course the logo and the flowers and everything. And then there's this cute kid that's coming down the hill with everybody else.
I'll never live
And
it down.
that's you, Sidney, actually tripping and falling. But that was not planned, right? Was it?
No,
And they
no.
kept it in.
They kept it in, and I don't, I don't. I remember part of it. I remember the falling part, but as a kid, you don't pay attention to what goes on for the buildup of that.
Right.
But my mom was saying that when they sent the kids to run down the hill, none of the adults had actually run down it, so they really didn't realize how steep it was. So you can see when I start down the hill, I'm running fine, and then I start getting too much momentum, and I'm doing like these moon leap kind of steps where I can't keep up, and then my arms go to one side and my body goes the other way, and that's the end of the story. And there was rumors that I tripped over flowers and stuff.
That's
No.
what we thought when we watched it. We thought, you know, there's just so many flowers and brush and everything that it just got, you know, caught in your dress and your feet got lost underneath you and you just went like that.
That's just my
Well,
nerdiness.
I mean, mustard weed does tangle when you try and walk through it, and all
Is
the
that what it
mustard
is? Mustard weed?
was, yeah, it was all real. All the mustard weed.
There she goes.
And I really hit really hard. I almost come all the way over again when I fall. Yeah, and when I got up, my mom was down at the bottom and she was standing by the camera. And I look up and I look straight at her and she's like, "Come on, honey, run. Come on, run." And I look down and I'm like, yeah, no, maybe I'll pretend I don't hear them.
And it's a whole thing. I mean, people talk about that. They look for that. I remember kids would always talk about it. They liked that part of the open when everything is great. And then all of a sudden you're coming along and trying to keep up and boom. It's
Yeah,
so
they wanted me to do it again and I wouldn't do it.
I'd love to see all the children reenact it. There's so many children around the world that reenact that and want to be Carrie falling down the hill. And I just love that. It's so endearing. They're so cute.
Kids would always reenact what they saw on television, all the different shows. And I remember my sister and I used to reenact. We had these, there's like 3 or 4 stairs that went off the dining room and went down into the sunken den. And on the Sesame Street episodes, towards the latter part of each episode, they would always have this, these different characters, and they would have this chef who would always have this cake and the cake would always go in his face. And it was always the counting of the numbers. And when he got to the last number, the cake would always go in his face. So we would always take like these empty pots and pans and we would like fall down the den stairs.
Right.
It's just amazing what you would do when you were watching television and how connected you got, child or adult, to these people on television, to these characters on television. And you have sets of people, I'm sure, on shows that you've enjoyed, that you've admired. It's got to be an interesting feeling to be on the receiving end where people come up to you and they offer the same kind of verbiage as far as, well, for me, you guys were what I always enjoyed and look forward to and reenacted and things of that nature. That must be a cool feeling, huh?
Right. And it's interesting too, because now we're grown up, but if you watch the show, Carrie's still a little kid. So a lot of times when parents bring the kids like to the events like at See Me, they try and explain to them that we're Carrie, and the kids look at them like, no, that's not Carrie. Carrie's like my age, because that's what they see on TV.
Exactly. Matter of fact, that's what Jennifer Donati said, that same thing. So they'll see you guys at things like this, and they are still thinking that,
Yeah.
Right.
which
But
is
you know,
it's
it's
amazing.
amazing to have people come up to you and say, I went into acting because of you, or, I became a school teacher. Charlotte gets it a lot of times. I became a school teacher because of you. And to have that connection with somebody is just really amazing.
It really, really is. And, one of the great things is that you guys embraced the characters, which I think is fantastic. A lot of times people don't necessarily embrace, you've gone on with other things in your life and other things you've done, but embracing the characters that means so much to people. And that's a beautiful thing. Do you have each of you have an episode or two that's your favorite from Little House on the Prairie?
Well, I think it's the same for both of us. Is your favorite Ma's Holiday, Rachel?
That's one of them, but I love the pilot too. And, Christmas at Plum Creek is special as well. There's a lot of them that are it's really hard to pick just one overall for me because there's a lot of really well-written ones.
I just think that the interactions between Carrie and Mr. Edwards in Ma's Holiday are so special, and it's one of the few times that Carrie really got to have these really special moments, and it showed that she could be happy and fun, but she also had this little independent streak, I'm doing my thing,
Kind of
and
like being nailed to the roof while Mr. Edwards was doing roof work.
or tied to a laundry pole, or
well, if he didn't, then she would hide under the bed and he couldn't find her.
You also had shared a humorous memory from season 3, episode 4, Little Girl Lost, where Carrie falls into an abandoned well. Tell us about that, Rachel.
When I fall into the air shaft. So I remember shooting the scene where I fall in. They took a butterfly and they put a piece of fishing line on it and they tied it to my dress. And then they wanted me to twirl in circles and chase the butterfly, but don't catch it. So it was really kind of awkward because the fishing line was shorter than the length of my arm. So I had to try really hard not to catch it because it would be so easy to do so and twirl. And then when it came to falling in the hole, they dug a hole and they put a board that went out over it, kind of like a diving board goes over a pool. And they put sand on it so you couldn't see it was a board. And they asked me to walk out on the end of the board. And I think at this point, it's just showing Carrie's feet. And then I had to step off the end of the board and hide down in the hole out of the camera frame. So it looked like I fell. So that's where you get that natural kind of feeling or look of me falling, is because I'm jumping off that board and hiding down in the hole.
There was a lot of physicality to some of the things you guys did, right?
Yeah, a little bit, not too bad. We grew up on a ranch, so we were pretty used to climbing trees and jumping off boards. And
You're like little stunt girls in a way, right? Oh, you don't need a stunt double. We'll do it ourselves.
Well, there's a funny theme with a lot of this stuff. So Rachel falls in the well, but I get rescued, and I float off in the balloon, but she gets rescued.
Oh my God, the way they teased your hair, they combed your hair so you look like the kid from the Mel Gibson one with the little kid.
Oh yeah,
Mad Max. You look like the little kid from Mad Max.
And I remember them. They had a cheesecloth with dirt in it, and they patted me all down with this dirt so that it would make fine. They would put a little water and then pat me, so it'd make a little cake dirt on my face. Because when they bring me out of the well, that was actually filmed, that night scene, on the set, and it was in the same place as where the house was. But the house had each individual wall could be raised so that you could film from different angles. So they raised the house and the barn, and in the dirt that's in between them is where they staged, where everybody was camped to rescue Carrie. So then that's where they bring me out. But I remember patting me down with dirt and back combing my hair, so it looked like I had really been down in the well for days.
Wow. There was also a memorable time on season 5's The God Sister, an episode that allowed you guys to appear on screen together the first time as Carrie and her imaginary friend Alyssa, right?
Right. And that was my mom's favorite episode. And they used to always show it on Mother's Day, which she absolutely loved. But it was really fun to actually be able to work together for once, because it was usually one of us would stay in school while the other one was working, or vice versa. So we actually rehearsed at home, and my mom didn't want to make us choose which one got to be Alyssa and which one got to be Carrie. So there's 4 adventures that Alyssa and Carrie go on, and twice I'm Alyssa and twice Rachel is Alyssa. So when people watch the episode, they can try and pick it out, which one's Alyssa and which one's Carrie.
But some of the adventures last a little longer. So Robyn got a little more airtime as Alyssa than I did. But it was fun to work in a green screen because, when I get scared and the spider chases me, like the spider was in another room and they kind of wrangled that spider to go a certain direction. Like they were kind of,
and it was painted
on the set they built for it, which is kind of
Magic Cam.
Huh?
It was called Magic Cam.
Yeah.
Exactly. Magic Cam.
And then the big raspberry that was made out of balloons, and it had like a pot of raspberry juice, like syrup kind of behind it in a pot with a balloon in it. And I was supposed to pick up that balloon and like rub it all over my mouth and then pop up from behind the raspberry, go, yum.
That is funny.
It's amazing because now all that stuff would be CGI and they would do it all with computers, and you would still have the green screen, but you may not have an actual live spider. But back then they had like a miniature table, something that you would use for like claymation, and that's what the spider was on. And so they actually filmed the spider at the same time they were filming us in the other room, and then they were overlapping the film, and it was like really new technology at the time.
Wow. When you think about it, right? It was cutting edge. They were experimenting on the TV shows with different things of that time, and it was all new, and we would see, if this works and if that works, and which is really amazing.
Even just the film quality itself now is a lot different than what it was back then, because it's all digital now.
Yeah, it's all digital. It's not film anymore.
Exactly right. And a lot of the instruments that they use in the theme songs aren't even real anymore. And they don't even really have lengthy credits and theme songs in the beginning, theme songs to shows that we would all hum. And we wouldn't hear that theme. We knew what show was coming on. And the closing credits too, where they show everybody that was on the show and they have that nice theme again. You really don't see that much anymore. When did you guys learn that Nellie Olson, Alison Arngrim's mother, was the voice of Gumby and Davy from Davy and Goliath and Casper? Can you imagine that?
I think in my 20s when Alison and I started hanging out together again. I didn't know it when we were kids.
Yeah. It is about the same time for me. I didn't learn until after we were off the show. I knew her family, worked in the business, but I didn't know exactly what they did.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? And did you gravitate to the other parts of the cast? The other cast members, like you have Karen Grassle and of course Michael Landon and all the rest of the cast. Did you feel sort of that warmth? Did they sort of, sometimes people, especially kids, say that when they're on a set with different characters, they're almost like a second family in a way. They become like a second family of sorts. Did it feel like that in any sort of a way for you guys?
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Boy, you
'Cause,
said that fast and you said it in stereo. I love that.
a lot of the cast and crew members had children that played the school children. So over 8 years of being on the show, you had the same school children and we were all growing up together. And in the early years before Robyn and I were in school, Melissa would come read us books and do puzzles and stuff and come and play with us and tell us stories and stuff like that. So, and then Kyle Richards, we used to go over to Kyle Richards' house and swim in her pool. Her mom and my mom were friends. So yeah, you form these relationships, and that's the really strange thing about being an actor, is because at some point in time it's going to end, but you form these really tight bonds working together, and then it's almost like you don't believe it's ever that end is going to come, but it is. And then, but it's still hard when it does. And that's the thing about being an actor. It's a little different.
I think one year, when we were really little, this is one of my favorite memories, but one year when we were really little, we were filming in Sonora, and it happened to be Halloween. And we were young enough that we hadn't really caught on to like the whole trick-or-treating thing, but Melissa wanted to go trick-or-treating, and Rachel and I didn't have costumes. So Melissa took a couple of sheets and cut holes for eyes and made us ghost and named us Blip and Bleep. And we all went trick-or-treating up and down the main street of Sonora.
And in the hotel room. And in the hotel room, we went to the cruise like doors and knocked on doors in the hotel room. And yeah, Melissa was always involving us in the rhino gator that lived in the barn, outside the barn, that Michael would try and talk us into sneaking up on the rhino gator. And as soon as we'd open the cabinet, he'd go, "Run, there he is." And he'd scare us all. For the time they talked us into hiking up to the graveyard and at Halloween, and Kip McCrae jumped out from behind the gravestone and scared us all.
That is so cool. That's all these great stories that, they tried to make it fun, right? Because, you had all these different kids that were on set, and you had animals. I mean, you had really everything, right?
Yeah. Well, and in the early years, sometimes it was just the three of us kids, because it was just, four of us, Melissa, and Rachel and I, because we were just filming scenes with the family. The Olsons weren't part of it. And especially in the pilot, it's just the four of us, right? So you get really close because it's just the whole, the family unit.
What are some other fun moments that each of you remember that stand out for you?
Well, I remember being jealous when Rachel got to dress up like she was rich in the white dress. Get her hair all curled. It wasn't my day to work. I'm like, oh.
Getting to wear Melissa's blue Sunday dress and putting my hair in braids and with the blue ribbons that she used to always wear. It just meant so much to me. It really felt like a hand-me-down, like it was my time to shine, and I was growing up, and I finally got to don the braids.
How did they work out the schedule too, as far as who would be on when, which of you would be on which episodes or in which scenes? How did that all work out?
Well, part of it was I broke my arm several times when we were kids, and I had a cast, so I couldn't work when I had the cast unless they could hide it. And so Rachel would work for that 6 weeks when I had the cast.
That, and when we got older, we got to choose our own scripts, or we would just trade scripts back and forth. But when we were younger, we pretty much adhered to who wasn't sick, who wasn't grumpy from their nap, like who was more just easier to work with at the time.
That's amazing. It really is. When did you guys realize, when did it start to sink in that you were on a series that has become iconic. Again, still all these years, 50 plus years, people love it and they still watch it and they know everything about it. I mean, they're real super fans. But when did you guys realize we're actually on TV? This is cool. And did kids in school start to figure out that that's you guys on TV, and neighborhood friends and cousins? How did that happen?
We grew up in school. So we lived on the north end of Malibu, and there was a lot of people from the industry and their children we went to school with. So we had stuntmen's kids, and we had, Charlie Sheen had been a few years ahead of us in school. And so we just grew up around it, surrounded by it in lots of ways, even at school. So we never really thought of it like, oh, I'm on TV and it's a big deal. No, my parents never made it like a huge deal. And then my dad was always working in on location. So it was just the way life was. It wasn't till, I was off the show, maybe in my teens, and when it kept playing reruns and stuff like that, that I was going, oh, wow, that's pretty unique. Not all of the shows did that. And then I started to see it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think at the age that we were, you hear people say it, that it's this huge show, but it's hard to grasp the whole scope of it, And even today, the show is so popular in other countries. I'm fluent in more languages than I knew I could speak, but that keeps as much as we inspire other people by them watching the show, the people that watch the show and have been dedicated fans, they inspire us too. And when we do public appearances and stuff like that, it's really to see them and connect them with them and tell them thank you for being a fan and for your loyalty. And, because being on the show, it afforded us to do a lot of things that we wouldn't have normally done as kids. And I realize that more now than I did at the time. But like when the show was still going on, we went to New York and we filmed a TV show called Kids Are People Too with Michael Young. And it was based around spotlighting kids. And when we were there, Bill Murray was on Saturday Night Live. So he came over and did like a little spoof on the Weekend Update. And we got to take pictures with him and meet him. And then after that, my mom took us to DC because Jimmy Carter's daughter, Amy Carter, was a huge fan of the show. So we got to meet Amy Carter and get a private tour of the White House. And we stayed for the inaugural lighting of the Christmas tree, and things that now I realize are so amazing. And we actually went to the Twin Towers, which now nobody ever thought back then we wouldn't have them anymore. And we wanted to eat at the restaurant at the top, the Window of the Worlds. And my dad didn't have a jacket because it's like a black tie restaurant. Oh, yeah. So our chauffeur loaned him his jacket so that we could go and eat in that restaurant. And I remember, standing by the windows looking down, and you could feel the wind pushing on the windows. But those are amazing things that we did that we would never have been able to do if we weren't on the show and if the show wasn't as popular as it was at the time.
And that was at the top of the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers, which we were there too. We got to have dinner and go there too. And it was the one tower had the restaurant, and then the other towers where you can go on top and you can see all of New York City. And so I would imagine when you would heard about 9/11 and that those towers went down and everything, it must have also really affected you guys too, especially having that early memory.
Yeah, how could it not? How could it not affect you? But it's still the only time my brother ever ordered frog legs.
Right. Probably called something different on the menu, of course, right?
Tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken. That's right. You knew a kid would like it if they said it tastes like chicken. That is funny. So you guys, you really love attending all of the reunions. This was great from the 50th as well, which was something really, really cool. You really like, they've been doing all of these sort of get-togethers, the cast and everything, which I think is really amazing. You like getting together. You like meeting everybody. You like seeing the fans and engaging with the fans when you can as well, huh? It's special.
Yeah, it's very special.
It doesn't matter how much time has passed. When we get together with our other castmates and stuff, it's like no time has passed. I mean, we're that close of a family. And I think that's what makes our show different in some ways too. When my husband and I got married, we just had a small little ceremony with, close friends. It wasn't very big. And all of a sudden, I get this package in the mail and I'm like, do you order something? And he's like, well, no, you'd be the one to order it. And I'm like, I don't know what this package is. And I opened it and it was a set of bath towels as a wedding gift from Karen. And I didn't even know she knew I got married. But that's how they are. That's how we all are. We just are really close. Always have been.
This time we did an event when I saw Karen and I had not seen her in many, many years. And the first thing she did when she saw us was like, there's my little girls, and gave us
my babies.
Yeah, my babies. I think for one year for Christmas, Karen even knitted us sweaters, didn't you, Rachel?
I'm not sure.
That's amazing. Wow. I could see her doing that. She was a recent guest on our show. If anybody didn't see that episode, it was actually her return visit here on the Jim Masters Show series. She was, of course, Caroline Ingalls, Ma, and Victor and Tracy French were here. The son and daughter of Victor French we've been talking about, and Allison Arngrim and Dean Butler. Dean was Almanzo Wilder. Allison Nellie Olson was here. Jennifer Donati, baby Rose Wilder here as well. And Charlotte Stewart is going to be returning as well. Miss Beadle. Some really amazing people with iconic backgrounds too, and that you got a chance to, not only work with, but stay friends with. It was right around age 11 when Little House on the Prairie went through some changes, and back in 1982. And I think it was, the storyline was that the Ingalls family were moving to Burr Oak, Iowa to seek a better life. And the final episodes and television movies, of course, feature the smaller cast, new characters coming in as well to carry the plot forward. But you really expressed the gratitude for Laurel Ingalls Wilder and for the legacy, right?
Yeah, for her legacy and also Carrie's legacy, because Carrie gets a little overshadowed by Laura and the books. But Carrie actually married a man that was instrumental in building Mount Rushmore. So in Keystone, South Dakota, they don't tell anybody where Carrie's buried or where her house is, but she was instrumental in the survival of the town.
That's amazing, right? For people that aren't aware of that, that whole Mount Rushmore connection, which is extraordinary, real Americana there as well. Life after Little House on the Prairie, following your time at Little House on the Prairie, you guys explored separate paths in the entertainment industry. You, Rachel, guest starred on an episode of Matt Houston in 1983, and Sidney took on the role of Amy McVickers in Hambone and Hilly in 1983, where you co-starred with Alan Hale Jr., who played the skipper on Gilligan's Island. How cool was that?
It was really cool. And one of my favorite memories when we were working is I find these stray dogs and I want to keep them. So I ask him, can I keep them? And I'm referring to the dogs. And so I ask him, I say my line and I say, can I keep them? And he goes, keep what? And I'm like, oh, the dogs. Can I keep the dogs? They're so cute. And then after they cut the take, Alan goes, thanks, babe. You really saved me on that one.
You know who loves that story? Gilligan. There he
Hey,
is.
Bobby.
Bob Denver. This was sent to me by, says, Aloha Jim, Dreama Denver, Bob's wife, who's a dear friend of our show. And she's been on several times talking about Bob in Gilligan's Island and Dobie Gillis and all the rest. And
I love Dobie Gillis.
oh, yeah. Did you see we have the I Dream a Genie bottle here too?
I saw that.
The genie bottle. Yeah, we're all set up there.
Themes that when you hear it, you know it. You know, the
Dun,
I Dream
dun,
a
dun,
Genie.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Exactly. Has acting, any producing, writing, has this continued to be a part of your life? Or tell us post those early years, some of the things that you've done, of course, family and all the rest that people would love to hear.
Well, we both we're avid horseback riders.
Right.
And so we rode Gymkhana for a long time. I got into more show jumping, and Robyn got into more of barrel racing, competed in women's pro rodeo. And I worked as a groom for 2 horse trainers for show jumping.
That's cool. And look, we have evidence of this. We did a little digging, and this is a very special photo of yours. You guys got on the horses really early, huh? Is that what you're with your dad?
Yeah, that's our
brother?
dad and our brother.
That's wonderful.
And
so
that pony that we're sitting on, not the black and white one, but the smaller one, Peanuts. My mom actually bought that pony off of Jack Lilly, who was the wrangler on Little House on the Prairie. And Jack told her, because my mom drove a Peugeot wagon at the time. My mom was like, he's great. Jack was like, he's great with kids. You can take him home in the back of your car. Like, you know, you don't need anything. So we were on the set one day, and they flipped the wagon seat up and opened the 2 back doors to the Peugeot, and they led this pony in, and my mom drove all the way from Simi Valley to our ranch with this pony in the car.
Freeway.
Oh my, on the freeway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an hour drive, you know. And then when she got home, she asked my dad to come help her get this pony out of the car, and he thought she was joking. And he's like, no, I'm serious. So I have pictures of them putting the pony in the car. And when we first turned on off of LA Avenue onto, I think it was Olson or Madera, the sheriff started following us, and I'm sure he was laughing because this pony's head was sticking out the window like a Great Dane, you know. And Rachel and I were sitting in the front seat. Of course, back then there was no seatbelt laws, so her and I could just sit in the front together because there's no car seats or anything, you know. But that's one of the funniest stories, and I'm sure you know, all those guys laughed so hard that they talked my mom into taking this pony home in the back of her Peugeot wagon.
Wow, that's amazing. What a great story that is. You guys also appeared in commercials for some major brands, Doublemint Gum and Mattel Toys and Kentucky
Hallmark.
Fried Chicken, Hallmark, huh?
Yeah, we did a special Hallmark for Raggedy Ann and Andy Valentine's Day TV, table settings, you know, like it was like the centerpiece and the matching napkins. And then we did a commercial for Mardi Gras, and we had to sing a song. And my mom, because we didn't read at the time, I remember in the hotel room, she cut out all these pictures from like a magazine to make a storyboard to teach us the lyrics to the song. And I think we filmed that in Chicago. But yeah, we did a lot of commercials, and everybody always says, like, you guys should do a Doublemint commercial. It's like, yeah, done it.
I was going to say, right? Now,
Yeah,
Rachel, you pursued various interests too, including amateur boxing, right?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
When I first started going to the gym, it's nothing that I ever thought I would do, but it became a personal challenge, and I started to understand it. So when I first started going to the gym, I was like, well, but then it became a personal challenge. And then when you step into the ring, it can be a little bit unnerving. So it's like you're facing that, you're showing that down. And I fell in love with the boxer's workout, but it was a commitment of like 3 to 4 hours a day when you're running, skipping rope. Sometimes you're sparring, you're working on the heavy bag, you're doing your floor work, you're doing your core work, and then you're cooling down. But I did really enjoy it, and mentally I like the mental aspect of it. And then my husband, he used to train me to run and hit the mitts and stuff like that, so we formed a really close relationship before we got married.
That's amazing. Wow, that's incredible. It certainly keeps you in shape and keeps you toned and all, which I think is fantastic. And you also joined castmate Allison Arngrim on the board of Paul Peterson. He's been on our show as well, the nonprofit organization of minor consideration, right?
I did. I was the treasurer. I went back to school and I got a bachelor's degree in accountancy. And so they asked me to join the board as the treasurer for Paul Peterson's organization. And I did that with Allison for a couple years.
And in 2014, you married Daniel Sanchez, whom you first met as a child on the Little House set. He was a local teenager who lived nearby where the filming was happening, and he'd visit the set to watch. And Michael Landon would let him come by. Decades later, you guys reconnected and you got married, huh? Under the same oak tree where you guys originally met decades earlier?
Yeah, under the same oak tree. So
Wow.
when the boxing gym I was just speaking of, Danny used to go to too. We had a mutual friend, and I saw him. I ran into him with two friends of mine. Both were female boxers. One is a stunt woman, Tree O'Toole, and we were passing out flyers for a friend who had the gym, and I ended up coming across Danny at the street fair. And my friends introduced me, and he goes, well, actually, I know you. And I go, you do? And so he started telling me the story of how he met me on the Wolves in 1977. When Mary is churning butter, we were all sitting underneath the oak trees. And then when they wanted to shoot a different angle, we all got up to move. And that's when he walked past me and Sidney, and he said hello. So that was how I first met him. But he was there. He actually got Melissa Gilbert's autograph at the time on a call sheet. And so he showed it to me years and years later. He's like, see, he's like, here's my call sheet from the Wolves with Melissa Gilbert's signature on it. And then Allison remembered him when he spoke to Allison, because he used to hang out more with them on the set than with me. I was too young. We're 7 years apart. He was 14. I was 7. And then when we reconnected, first we were just friends, but we grew really, really close. And pretty soon we started dating. And then years later, we got married underneath the oak tree on the set, right by the Ingalls home by Plum Creek, where we first met.
That's amazing. Do you have any oak tree stories, Sidney? Maple trees, birch trees.
The only oak tree story that I have is the one that's in the center of town in the front of the Olson's Mercantile. In the summertime when they were filming, like up by the school, we used to all sit under it in between takes for the shade. And one day we were sitting there and there started to be this like cracking noise, and everybody dispersed running, and this huge limb out of that oak tree came crashing down. And I remember that to this day because it scared everybody to hell.
I would imagine everybody said, "Run for your lives." We're hearing a cracking, and that doesn't sound too natural, right?
No, and it was a huge limb too, so it was like, luckily it gave us a little warning. It didn't just drop it as it was like, bending over, it was cracking. And And so everybody got out from underneath the tree and nobody was hurt.
You guys, I think, Rachel, you were the one instrumental in pushing for an event for the 50th anniversary in Simi Valley.
It was actually my husband. We had tried several times. He always wanted to bring Little House back to Simi Valley where it was originally shot. And so we had tried several times to approach the, not the chamber, but a few of the organizations here in Simi Valley. And they didn't really seem to have an interest in it. And then years later, Danny, we were talking to a friend named Olin, and he had mentioned to the Olin that we should do a reunion here in Simi Valley for the 50th. And then Olin said that that was a really great idea and that we should do it. And then it was Allison that actually knew Kathy at the chamber, at Simi Valley Chamber. And so then Kathy got on board, and then COVID hit.
Yep.
And then we were all trying to figure out how we could do stuff Little House related through COVID. And anyway, it all seemed to come together in the end. And Olin, after Danny shared the idea with him, he had some great ideas of things to bring to the table as well. But the original idea to bring it back to Simi Valley was actually my husband's.
That's fantastic. And how cool is that, right?
It was really something special and something so unique. And for the fans to be able to go up on the ranch now, unfortunately, it did rain during the 50th celebration, but they did have multiple events after that where you could actually go up and take the tour on the ranch, Simi Valley, Tapo Canyon Ranch. It's called Big Sky Ranch now. And so I think that was a really special aspect for the fans to actually be able to walk the streets of Walnut Grove and actually be able to get out and see where the house sat and where the girls, my husband he put the wagon on the hill and had mannequins of the girls running down the hill. And of course, Carrie was falling in mid-fall. And that was just iconic. When you would come up the ranch, you see the hill first before you see the homestead. And so it would just hit you. It was so surreal and so perfect that it was the opening to the tour because it opened the show, and it was really neat.
And that area is very special because it was used in some of the filming, right?
Yeah, it was the whole town was there. All the exterior buildings were on that ranch, and right across from. So if you stood on that hill and looked across, you would look at the Ingalls home, and if you stood at the Ingalls home and looked across the road, you'd be looking at the hill we ran down. So they're right there next to each other. So it's really neat.
So it's very special that coming in December, there is this amazing event that is there at Strathern Historical Park, right in Simi Valley. And it's going to be something really, really terrific, isn't it? I mean, there's meets and greets and Santa and all kinds of amazing things that are happening. Tell us about this great event, the Little House on the Prairie cast reunion right there in Simi Valley.
Well, Strathern Historical Park is a historical park here in Simi where they have taken different buildings from around Simi Valley and put them inside the park. So it's a historical little kind of village, if you would say. And then there's going to be a Christmas tree lighting. There's going to be Santa Claus, like you said. They're going to be showing episodes of Plum Creek. There's going to be special talks by different cast members. There's
a breakfast and a dinner that you can with the cast and crew that you can buy tickets to. But tickets are limited, so people should try and get their tickets early.
And there's going to be music. There's going to be some music. And it's just going to be a really fun Christmassy kind of event.
And these are some of the folks that are going to be there too. And Sidney, you're going to be there as well. And I think they've added on Tracy Savage and Todd Bridges, who was Solomon Henry, and other folks going to be there. But Karen Grassle and Allison Arngrim, of course, Rachel and Sidney, Charlotte Stewart, Dean Butler, Patrick will be there, Ketty Lester, and Pamela and Stan and David, they're going to be coming on our show as well. Jennifer and Walter and Tracy French. And again, I believe one of the script supervisors is going to be there as well. So it's really like a big family reunion for everybody. And you're going to see so many of the original cast and the people who made the magic at beautiful Simi Valley, California. And just, during the holiday season, it's going to look beautiful. And there's how you get tickets. And as like the fine ladies just said, the tickets are going fast and they're very, very limited. And, it's in a way, it's good that it's limited because I know some of the events, 20,000 people, 25,000 people have come, 40,000. It's been, I was at the one in New England in Connecticut, and it was great and everything, but the lines were long and, I was fine because, I'm used to all that working in the industry like you guys, but, it was long, but they stayed and they greeted everybody. Everybody was there, you're saying hello, everybody's saying hello and taking pictures and all the rest. And you're enjoying this, huh? Isn't this a beautiful spot to be in to, have all of these fabulous people who love this series reconnect with you guys? It's probably one of those great things in your life that you'll always be able to tell stories to, when you guys are 90 years old with lemonades and a rocking chair. Remember Little House on the Prairie? And remember Michael Landon and this scene and that scene. And just to have the love and affection of people who have felt such a connection to all of you is a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. And it's just really, it's neat to connect with them now as an adult because the connection's different. The conversations you can have are different. So it's just it's a treat and a blessing. It's a wonderful thing.
You second that emotion as the twin?
Oh, yeah. I second it.
It really is something, huh? It really is. Who knew when you were running down that hill what this would turn out to be, right? Amazing. Right. It really, really is. And you guys get to travel a lot? Is there you guys travelers?
I haven't traveled a lot, in a long time, but when we were younger, we used to travel a bit, and we got the pleasure of going up to the Genesee Museum a few years ago. And when we did, we went to Niagara Falls, and that's something that everybody should see in their lifetime. And I'm still, trying to wrap my head around the water flows to Canada instead of flowing. It goes the wrong way.
It's interesting, right? Yeah, I know. Oh boy, then you'll have a thrill going to Australia where the water
swirl
goes the opposite way when you hit the handle.
We'll never get her out of the bathroom.
Right. She'll just be fascinated by that, right?
Our cousin lives in Tasmania, so I've warned him, Mark, I'm going to be there one day. You better get ready.
That's right. He's going to have the water. He'll have the water shut off before you come. That is funny. What are some other things you guys like to do? Do you like to cook? Do you have other different hobbies, other things that you like to do that have nothing to do with entertainment or television or film or any of that?
Well, I'm a crafter. I love to create and like embroider or sew or paint, or like you see my alcohol markers behind me. That's really what helps me stay grounded, and have my me time to just, doodle or color or sew or create or do whatever I want. And so that's really a big outlet for me.
We don't have horse. I don't have horses anymore. Robyn still has one horse. But I like to garden. Gardening is my happy place. I just deadheaded all my dahlias and winterized them. My roses I love. I love to get out in the garden and get my hands in the soil. And then cooking. I love cooking. My mom used to have big get-togethers, whether it was family and friends, and we would start preparing the food a couple days in advance, maybe like cubing the cheese or something like that. And we would just have so much fun in the kitchen the days before the party, getting ready, that every time I cook, it just makes my heart happy because I remember all those good times. And my aunt, my dad's sister, she owned a catering company. So when we'd have Thanksgiving at her house, she would let me cook in the kitchen as well. So I have lots of fond memories of cooking with my family and gardening with my family. So those are two things that I really enjoy doing, and reading books. I love to read books.
Yeah. What's your specialty? Your food specialty?
My food specialty?
If we came over to have dinner as a group tomorrow night, what would you want to serve? What's the special?
I would serve cottage pie.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
I would serve cottage pie.
That's comfort food.
Yeah.
You never go wrong with potatoes.
That's the Irish in me. Thumbs up. I love it. Absolutely.
My Rick's over here. My Rick's.
Yes.
Gambles.
Right. Cottage pie for all. But I hope you use a stove that's a little more advanced than what they had to use on Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, and one of the things that was interesting when we went to Genesee Country Village, and if anybody's in the New York area and you can go to that museum, it's a really neat museum because they teach you how to make brooms from scratch, but learning how the oven was used. So they would use the oven to do their cooking, but then they would make a dessert. So the leftover heat that was from the side of the hearth from the fire, they would make the dessert. And then they would put the cake or whatever, and they'd let it sit in there while the fire cooled. So everything was utilized as far as it could possibly go. How
cool is that, huh?
It was pretty neat.
That's amazing. Really cool getting a chance to chat with you fine ladies. You're very, very talented and beloved by many, many who are so excited to see you, not only here on the Jim Masters Show, but in Simi Valley and other things you guys have done. And it's really a pleasure to meet you and to celebrate everything about this incredible series. And there they are again. Wow. It's really cool stuff when you see these photos, when you go back in time. And this is a cool one too. Tell us about this one.
We were shooting a scene right there, and I'm not exactly sure.
Look at the expressions.
with the line that Melissa Francis, now we used to call her Missy, but I'm not sure what line she's delivering right there. But that's Wendy sitting next to me, and Wendy's got this look on her face like,
Yeah. Wendy Lou Lee. Yeah, she's been here on our show too. And yep, that's another great shot of you guys as well. And just amazing stuff, really. Amazing to have an opportunity to learn about you guys after seeing you on television for such a long time. And again, people can see Little House on the Prairie and re-airs, and people have probably all the DVDs, and it's just one of those beloved series that really connects with people, as others have said, Allison and Dean and Karen, at a very deep level. And it harkens back to a simpler time, a warmer time. And I think people are really craving that right now, right?
Yes,
I think so too, because America is suffering a lot of division right now, and this is something that people can share, and it'll bring you back together, and you can spend time together, either reading the books or watching the show. It used to be that families would get together around the dinner table, but it's not like that anymore. So this is one of those things you can use, maybe have movie night or watch one episode every night and have that time of bonding and togetherness.
Very, very true. And again, this wonderful event coming up where you can meet Sidney and Rachel and realize that they are actual individuals and not just one Carrie Ingalls. And you can get all of your questions answered that way. And it's going to be really, really special. But again, tickets are very limited, and it's going to be right there in Simi Valley at Strathern Historical Park with all the buildings and the lights, and it's going to be festive. And again, there's going to be all kinds of cool events going on, all tied to celebrating 50 plus years of Little House on the Prairie, with the cast coming together, which is a rare thing. It doesn't always happen where casts are able to get together, and where even so much of the cast is even still around to be able to get together. So that's a really beautiful thing. So don't miss that, folks. Ladies, this was an honor and a privilege and a pleasure. Now, here on the Jim Master Show, I always tell everybody, all the guests, we're going to keep the porch light on for them. So the porch light is on for you. You're welcome back to stop by here. We say the show has a lot of light, love, and levity, something I said during the early days of the pandemic. And one time I slipped up a little bit and I said, yeah, the show has a lot of light, levity. And I said the word levity. And that was, I guess, the love and the levity part put together. I must have smushed your words, smushed the words together. And I said, yeah, instead of light, love, levity, I said light, levity. And when I said that word, our viewers who we love, they call themselves the Jim Master Show Lovities. They said, I'm Mr. Levity. This is Levity Hall.
Right.
They're the Levity Squad. And guests like you are now.
We're the Levity Twins.
You are the Levity Twins, part of the Levity
Levity
family.
and alumni.
Isn't that cool that I just happen to, smush that word up, and, or those two words together.
Yeah.
And look what happened. The word levity came out. And so you guys are definitely Levities here on the Jim Master Show. And you're welcome back anytime. If you just want to say hi or stop by, you're welcome to, and spread the word about our show to other folks. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with the two of you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
It's been a true treat. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. You come see us again. Good luck with everything. Sending blessing and joy your way. And thanks again for being with us on the show. It was a phenomenal conversation. I also appreciate your generosity of time. It really was special. You be well, okay?
You too. Thank you.
All right, Sidney, take care. And Rachel, take care. And all of our viewers, was this not amazing? You got some questions answered too about that shot coming down the hill, which was really something cute, and the little bit of the fall that happened and how it happened, and boom, right there, that freeze frame shot. Again, the twins coming on our show to celebrate this iconic series that you guys have watched and loved. I know there's a lot of super fans who are watching our show. We welcome you, and all of our regular fans of the Jim Master Show as well. Some amazing stories, amazing times in their life when they were kids that have always, touched the lives of so many. Great stories about their family. There's their brother who also became an actor. There is Rachel with Allison Arngrim as well. And again, the gang all gets together. There's a nice shot of the early years. There's Victor. And again, a lot of the gang does get together, and they're going to be getting together. This is from the 50th anniversary. They're going to be together at the wonderful Strathern Historical Park, Simi Valley. So check that out. Again, let's show you one more time all about that. And there are so many people going to be there. This was the original list. Now they've added extra folks too. Of course, Cindy's going to be there as well, and Tracy's going to be there. Tracy Savage, and also Todd Bridges, who was Solomon Henry. He's going to be there as well. So this list that you see here has actually grown since this list was created. And there they are. And some good times and great memories. If you enjoyed this episode of the Jim Master Show Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, well, make sure that you give this episode a thumbs up like. We love when you do that. Give it a like on our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV, where there are hundreds and hundreds of episodes with all of our celebrity friends and guests that stop by. Share the episode on your social media. Drop a comment below in the comments section. And, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. And drop a comment right right below there. What's your favorite episode of Little House on the Prairie? Some of the favorite characters. Do you remember the tumble down the mustard field there? And yeah, really incredible stuff, and some behind the scenes tips. And now you know about the cottage pie that Rachel is famous for. I'm hungry. I want some of the cottage pie now. But really wonderful stories, heartwarming stories about this beloved series that was on television for so many years on NBC, with that theme song that said it all, and all of the people involved, many of whom have become friends of ours here at the Jim Masters Show and special guests as well. So like, comment, subscribe, share, all the rest. And you can follow the show and me and all here on these locations: Instagram, Facebook, and X at Jim Masters TV. And if this was your first time watching, welcome to the Jim Masters Show Lovity family and our series. It's great to have you here, and come see us again. Okay, come see us again. And there's the information for tickets to the event, the cast reunion with Little House on the Prairie. Those tickets are going fast. Now, if you're watching this a year from now, this will be past tense. But for those watching right now, move fast, because those tickets are going fast. All right, everybody, we always say love one another, take care of one another, and don't forget to do the very same for yourself. A wonderful celebrating Little House on the Prairie with all the amazing guests. And we thank Rachel and Sidney Greenbush for stopping by and for their generosity of time and sharing a laugh or two and a great memory or two with us here on the Jim Masters Show series. And we thank you for coming by Lovity Hall and stopping by and having some fun with us as well. Interact with us. Let us know what you enjoy about our series. And thanks to everybody commenting during the show. We love that. We love your support and your love for what we're doing here. We'll see you on the next one. Don't go anywhere. Another great episode of the Jim Masters Show comes right up next for you. Be well, everybody. Take care. And we'll see you next time on the Jim Masters Show. Be well and cheers.